Hey guys, we're incredibly excited for the game this weekend to welcome back the 1966 Kentucky Wildcats, the Rups Runts. We think we're going to have almost every single one of the players back on a great team that I think started out the season 23-0 maybe, and had a couple all-time All-Americans, including the great Pat Riley and the great Louis Dampier. And we're excited to have those guys back. A couple guys we might actually suit up and see if they can help us in the game with all these changing rules. And so it's going to be a great night for the Cats. I'll take questions. Fire away.
And Riley is confirmed. He's going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you never know how, with these guys' schedules and everything, things can change, but we're expecting almost the entire team here.
When you go back and look at that last 4.5 minutes, you talked a lot about it.
Why would we ever go back and look at those last 4.5 minutes?
Right? How much of that is correctable? How much of that was just you did get good stuff that shots didn't fall?
Well, I believe everything is correctable, even the shots, even making shots. I think that's correctable. I think that's actually that's part of our responsibility also. So I think all 4.5 minutes is correctable. It was it was everything actually. It was so much misfortune. It was so much stuff in our wheelhouse that we inexplicably didn't execute the way we normally do. It was some poor communication. It was some poor internalization of the scout. It was some missed shots. It was some coaching error. It was all of those things lead to that just terrible 4.5 minutes. 4 minutes and 36 seconds, give or take something. Yeah. Yep.
Is there any of that state, the fact that it happens late in the game, is there any mental fatigue, like with some of these guys coming back and not maybe playing as many minutes?
I think everybody has mental fatigue everywhere right now if you're putting your whole heart and soul into it, but that's our job to not let that have any impact on today or yesterday or tomorrow. One of the things I love about sports is it teaches you that you have to. It doesn't matter how bad things get. You can't go back and rewrite what happened. You can just write the end of the story to make, because history tells the story, to make it something that it's not. Right now, it's like the worst moment, the lowest point, all the stuff. And it always does. This never goes away. It's always the next thing you do is actually going to rewrite what happened before. So there's no time for indulging in feeling terrible. I spent a lot of time feeling like I'd like to curl up in bed and kill myself. But that's actually not what we do. We raise up and we get to work and we find answers. And that's actually where the great part of life comes from, is answering the bell when everybody thinks you can't do it, shouldn't do it, won't do it, aren't going to do it. Most people are too scared to go there. We're not. Right? I wish we weren't here right now, but it's where we are. And so it's us rising up and doing it. So there's no time, there's no hangover. That's not acceptable. It's not okay.
Coach, we've heard a lot about a new offense from the players recently. I just wanted to kind of see what that looks like compared to maybe the old offense or the one you used to run.
Well, it's not really. We're just trying to figure out some spacing issues that are revolving around the skill set that we have on the floor for some of the time right now. And it was some frustration with, you can do whatever you want. You can position your team wherever you want offensively, but you can't control where the defense chooses to position their players based on what they want to take away from you and what they give you. And so there's part of every defensive game plan is going to say, we'll live with that, we'll live with this, we'll live whatever, and you do that based on kind of what scares you about offensive team you're facing. So we're trying different ways to manufacture some gravity on the floor and do the best we can. It's we knew that it was going to be really ugly going into it, but we knew it was something we needed to do, and it's going to continue to evolve. I think this is I can't tell if this is inspiring or discouraging, but we actually were at a 1.05 shot quality against Missouri, which is our highest shot quality of any of our high major games. And the reason that's exciting is because it shows progress. The reason why it's not exciting is because it sure didn't feel like that. And that's part of the the revamped way to kind of earn space and gravity that we're trying to work through right now. And we haven't arrived on a final answer, clearly, because we're not getting the result we need.
Mark, we've seen stretches where you guys have shown a lot of promise, and obviously the other day got it up to 8-point lead, and then you go through these droughts. Is there anything that you can do to help prevent some of those scoring droughts?
Yeah, and I wish I could give you one answer. It's not one answer. Like, us fighting to get pace into the game is important. The pace in transition makes us feel healthy. Pace in the half court makes us feel healthy. Those things are really important. Us really dialing in, there's a lot that, we've actually worked out where we have all of our guards getting to play in double gap spacing right now. And so there is this ability to get downhill, but getting downhill and actually fighting to earn, to take the next step to create something great for your teammate that's a next step evolution in kind of this gift that we're giving our guys by manufacturing kind of this revamped spacing. We actually have to get to step 2. That's really important. So being more efficient offensively, at some point making shots. Like we really like shots that we got in the last 4.5 minutes of this game, and sometimes they don't go down. Us having a more convincing presence, it was our worst wedge percentage game, and us having a more every single possession presence on the offensive glass matters. We had the quick turnaround where we had a poor shot selection that just ended up in a quick layup on the other end. That's a 4-point swing, right? So fixing things like that, fixing communication from the bench, it matters, right? Fixing the way that I lead these guys in the moment matters. All those things. So there's not a one fix everything answer, just like there isn't in everything in life. But all those things are important parts.
How do you
After the loss,
stop,
you
well,
said
you
that
can't
you-
stop Josh Hubbard, but how do you contain him?
Nobody's been able to stop him yet. He's really good, man. I like watching him play. He's really aggressive, and he actually, he's their leading assist guy by far. So interestingly enough, their point guard position is the number one scoring point guard position percentage of their team's points of any team in the entire country. They're at 34.5 or 34.7% of their points come from their point guard position. And they capitalize off that also. They get your defense so skewed that, in their first 2 games, they've been 41 and 43% of their of the potential offensive rebounds they've come up with. They're just crushing teams on the offensive glass right now. They're 3, 4, and 5 have really embraced this opportunity that the spacing gets skewed and they're going to go kill you on the offensive glass. So stopping Josh Hubbard is more than just trying to reduce his points per game, which nobody's been effective at. I mean, he scored 30 on 1 for 7 shooting from the 3 in his last game. That's really impressive. And so he's a real challenge, but also the impact he has on the rest of the game. And their backcourt, their backcourt is really impactful. 10 and 2 are also real problems, and like I said, the rest of the crew is really tough on the glass. Their centers, come out of the game. Their center position at 18 and 14 last game, so they're a good team. That's why they're 2-0 in the SEC right now.
After the loss, you told BBN they're entitled to feel however they need to feel about the product they're seeing under the lights. Obviously, you spent a lot more time with this team in the locker room, at practice. What are you seeing that's hopeful about this group that is just not translating yet?
It's hopeful.
Yeah.
I have so much hope. My guys are coming every day, and they care, man. They're dying inside. They want this so bad. They're trying desperately to figure out a way. Sometimes the desperation trying to figure out is hurting us a little bit. They're so engaged. So I think the hopeful part is that we have really good players. I think that they're fully committed, and I think that we'll get where we're trying to go. We're in the messy middle right now. And it's really messy, and it's what it is. But I got so much hope. I have so much confidence. That's why I walk in here with a smile on my face every day.
Mark, does Hubbard's game remind you of anyone that you've seen? Hubbard, does this game
Oh.
remind you of any other player that you've
Ooh.
seen, whether you face or does his style remind you of someone?
You know what? He is. I don't know if there's anybody I would call to mind to do a comp on him right away. He's just a complete player. In fact, I'll give him some real credit. We had guys comparing him to an elite, especially in this Oklahoma game they just played. I had some comps on him defensively that I'm not going to mention right now because it might think I'm crazy, but like talking about his effort and energy on the defensive end. For all we talk about the way these guards score, their defensive efficiency has been ridiculous the last couple of games, under 90. Like, it's unbelievable what they've done on the defensive end of the floor, and I think he's been a huge catalyst to that. So he's an electric scorer. He's their best playmaker, their best assist guy by far, and he's bringing it on the defensive end right now. He's a full, complete game. He's a little bit undersized. He's got a real physicality to him. He's got an unbelievable cleverness to his game. Clearly, he shoots it incredibly well. He's a good player.
Mark, CBS Sports graded all you guys who were hired last
Yeah.
year in your second year now,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave you a D.
That's
How do you
probably
feel about
generous.
that? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, listen, there's a great thing about basketball, guys. And that's the part that where I'm a little miss on me having some expectation of how BBN should react right now. Like, we're not winning like we're supposed to win right now. That's a fact. It's not emotional. It's not a character flaw. It's just like we're not getting the job done the way that we expected to get the job done here in Kentucky. So I don't think that's subjective. We started the SEC 0-2. There's nothing subjective about that. I don't think it's just exactly where we are. That's why I love sports, because it's not subjective. And so if you told me that the head coach at the University of Kentucky led them to an 0-2 start, I'd say probably a D. In the SEC, I'd say a D is generous. That's just what it is. And if we run off the next six, then I'd be like, maybe I'd move them up to a D+, because Kentucky shouldn't be 6-2. That's just, it's not emotional. It's like we have a job to do, and you just do your job or you don't. It's not. And I love gymnastics. I love watching gymnastics. But we don't sit here and argue about the scores that people are giving. Like, you earn a score. We played Missouri head-to-head, and the final score of the game was us a loss. So there's a ton of emotion in the game. There was a point in the game against Missouri where I was close to acting out in a physical way, which I'm glad I restrained myself towards a couple individuals. But there's a ton of emotion surrounding it, but there's not in the outcome. There's not in the grades, right? The grades is whatever, but the outcome is like we're 0-2 an SEC play, and I'm the leader of this program, and that's exactly what it is. What's fun is that at Kentucky more than anywhere else, we're going to talk about it 24/7 and postulate, and because we care so much. So that's where all those conversations come in. But it's just we're exactly where we are, and I actually don't want to run from it because the end of the story is so good. But it's not going to be so good if we don't get to talk about being 0-2 to start the SEC. That's why it's great, Like, most people want to run from the messy middle of the deal, man. I'm not. Like, let's dig in and let's go. That's how special stories happen.
With JQ, it seemed like he was getting a lot of kind of one-on-one looks in that St. John's game, and then after that, guys have just been completely running lots of bodies at him. What can you do? What can his teammates do to maybe get him in better situations, or get the team in better situations when that happens?
Yeah, I mean, there's a feel, guys. There's an evolutionary feel. Like, JQ is playing in 3 games. Is that right? 3, 4?
3 plus.
And so, like, there's a part of feeling out. Really where he had his biggest impact on the game in St. John's was on the offensive glass. And in St. John's, I think we're at like 45% offensive rebound percentage. So that's where his biggest impact was. He did have an unbelievable isolation trail 5 from the top, which he's had some really good isolation looks. He'll get 1 or 2 or 3 of those a game. That's just part of his game. He'll get some work from the high post as he gets more and more comfortable with it. But right now, before we dig in out and exploring all the different ways we can buy unique possessions for JQ, I want him to actually have just a couple reps to actually just feel us. And what makes that more complicated is we're trying to understand us as a whole right now too. He's not walking into a finished product where we're just trying to slide him in. We're evolving also.
Couple more.
I got, this one's out of left field, but there is a bill filed in the Kentucky State House this week that would require, if passed, Kentucky and Louisville to play every year, which you already do.
Yeah.
And then Kentucky and Louisville to schedule at least 2 other in-state opponents every year, like
Yeah.
an EKU Western, whatever. Have you heard of that, and where do you stand on it?
I would be against that right now unless you, what is the right word? Addendum, how do you add on? What do you add to that? Amendment. Unless they amend it to get us to, the NCAA to give us 40 games. Amend it to give us 40 games, I'll play 3 in-state games. Like, let's go. But right now, I think at the end of the day, it hurts the potential product. I think it hurts the potential fan experience. It hurts the potential growth. If you think about that means at this point it gets super complicated managing that for sure.
Mark, going back to Pat Riley, is he a guy you ever got to know over the years, whether in the NBA or the Kentucky connection?
So, yeah, I had an experience with Pat Riley. I've had a few. Now, we haven't spoken very much. I did get a chance to speak with him a couple months ago, and he's just like he's iconic. I mean, we know him here at Kentucky as one of the all-time greats at Kentucky, but in the history of basketball as a whole, in the NBA life, he is iconic, right? I mean, Pat Riley is a name that is like reverberates. Everybody knows what that means. Everybody sees the Showtime Lakers. Everybody sees the gritty New York Knicks teams and the flashy Miami teams, right? And what he's done now as a GM and a president and owner and whatever position he has there right now. So his impact on the game of basketball has been so incredible. My one experience with Coach Riley was we were finishing shoot around and Miami was coming in. I can't remember if it was home. I can't remember what team I was in. But there was somebody on the team that I was kind of friendly with, and so I was kind of talking to him, like we were laughing a little bit, and then I looked over, and Riles was standing in the tunnel, and he was peering at me like eyes were ripping a hole right through me, so I got off the court right away, like he didn't joke around, right? He's been just one of the great leaders in this game, and he's obviously represented the University of Kentucky in a magnificent way, and we're blessed to have him.
Mark, how do you,
Last one.
with Jasper and Yelovich, some of the guys that kind of feel to be moving toward the back end of the rotation, what was your message to them to kind of keep that confidence high to be ready when their moment comes?
Listen, if there's anything we're learning, it's that our roster is going to be fluid, right? In terms of like how we're trying to find answers to this deal. So those guys are one practice, one moment, away from like having the whole weight of the world on their shoulders, and that's the way this works. Actually, that's the great thing. And so, it's the true as true can be that the only thing that matters is that you're starving to get better every single day and focus on getting better every single day. And both those guys are incredible young men. All the guys that are having a little bit of limited time in this little window right now, they're all unbelievable hard workers. They're all super focused. Trent's already been through it. I think Trent went from not playing any games to jumping right in the starting lineup to going to not. They've already experienced that, and so they know. Like this, we got a boatload of season to go, and there will continue to be changes as we transform and evolve. And so, the thing that matters is that they're ready to take on all the pressure when it comes.